Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I'd like to say how wonderful it is to be here and have this opportunity to speak in front of you guys. And just to call our minds to what an enormous blessing it is to be here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and honoring and remembering the legacy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So, I want to tell you guys a story. Recently, a few months ago, I started teaching at the Saturday school here at the IECOC, giving Islamic lessons to the youngsters. And so every week, once a week, I had to think of a topic or a selection of topics to talk to the children about. And when it was the week of Eid al-Qurban, I realized that what more obvious of a topic to speak about that weekend than Eid, because it was such a big event. But then I realized something, that for as long as I had been Muslim, every single year, I had been distracted from Eid al-Adha. Whenever this Eid would come, it was quickly followed by Eid al-Ghadir, and Eid al-Ghadir would take my attention, and then Muharram would take my attention, and I would just kind of gloss over Eid al-Adha. And I would think, okay, what is this Eid about? You know, it's about submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's pretty much all that I thought about it. So when I realized that there was a gap in my understanding, because it's one thing to know something for yourself, but it's something else to have to teach it to others. So then I thought, okay, since I'm going to tell the kids about this Eid, I have to think about it myself more so I understand it better, so I know about it better. And so I asked myself this question: what is Eid al-Qurban all about? And when I first had learned about this Eid, I learned about it more from Arabic-speaking, Arabic language standpoint, which is what most of my Islamic studies involved. So I knew it as Eid al-Adha, or I heard people refer to it as the greater Eid, because, you know, during the time of the Prophet, there was established Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and Eid al-Fitr was, in comparison to Eid al-Adha, is the smaller one. So there's this comparison, one was better than the other. But then I started thinking, realizing that after the years I had studied Farsi and I learned Farsi, the Farsi terminology, calling it Eid al-Qurban, it stuck in my mind. I was like, wait a minute, this Eid is being called after sacrifice. There must be something really important about this. And of course, sacrifice is something that is familiar to me because I spent a lot of time thinking about, you know, Muharram and the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So it was a familiar topic, but it kind of caused me to come to a realization, which is that sacrifice is essential to our religion, or it's a part of religion in general. I started thinking, well, what is religion about? What do we do in religion? Why do we have religion? And religion, as I thought about it, was something that you make sacrifices, you give. You give your time, you give your energy, sometimes you give your money. There's a lot of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks from us. So I realized that, okay, sacrifice is not just some off to the side topic in religion. It's actually like a central focus of religion. It's very important. And so this is the message that I brought to the children. I started talking to them about sacrifice. And then something hit me very powerful, which is that we have a temptation to think of Muharram and the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam maybe as something additional, like something extra, something on top of, you know, what we have already. But once I realized that this Eid that we have, this big Eid, which is the really big one, is teaching us about sacrifice, this is the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It's basically the same thing. So there are Muslims or people out there who they kind of downplay the significance of Karbala, or they downplay the significance of Imam Hussein. And they say, oh, that's Muharram is just something maybe off to the side, or not so important, something extra. There's Muslims who maybe they don't even know that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was martyred. But this is a point that is really fundamental that we should remember, which is that sacrifice, which was shown to us by Imam Hussein alayhi salam, is something that is not on top of Islam, or not something in addition to Islam. It's the core. It's the inside fundamental. It's a part of our faith that cannot be separated. And so for those people out there who are wondering, what's the point? Why do we have Muharram? Why do we gather in masjid? Why do we do this? You should ask them, well, what is the reason why we celebrate Eid-e-Ghurban? Because all of the Muslims recognize Eid-e-Ghurban. There's no dispute about that. So, brothers and sisters, I just want you all of you guys to remember this, that sacrifice is it's something that is required from all of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us all to give. And inshallah, we will remember Imam Hussein alayhi salam in these 10 nights, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.